Hey guys, welcome to Olivia's Blooms. In today's video, I am going to be doing some harvesting of both vegetables and flowers, also some herbs, maybe a little fruits, and I thought I would bring you guys along with me, all 0 of my current subscribers. Actually, my mom's probably subscribed. She's super supportive, a little bit of a stalker. I love you, Mom. But you know, this is for all the many future subscribers that I know I'm gonna have. So I wanted to bring you along with me. It is currently morning time in July, and just a couple quick notes also before we get started. My clothes. So this is, I'm obviously from Cleveland, even though I live in Charlottesville, Zone 7A, and that's where I'll be gardening today. But I'm originally from Cleveland, so you'll see a lot of Cleveland gear, especially Cleveland sports gear. But you're gonna see me wearing a lot of the same clothes in these videos. I work full-time, and so a lot of my gardening chores I do on the weekend, and that's when I'll be making a lot of my videos. So a lot of the videos you'll see are probably gonna be made in the same day. But also, you know, just get used to the mostly Target clearance wardrobe rotation. I'm also iced out in this gorgeous bracelet that my youngest daughter, Kayla, she's 9, made me. You can see right here, Olivia, Kayla, heart in the middle. So yeah, enjoy. Another quick note before our harvesting video. This is another one of our gardening buddies, Bear. This is Bear. She's our about to be 1-year-old Bernese Mountain Dog puppy. She's so helpful in the garden. One of our very first times letting her out here in the spring, she bust through this trellis here like the Kool-Aid man and broke it. So we'll be keeping a close eye on Bear, but she's another one of our gardening buddies. Okay, so I brought out this jar of water with me. I'm gonna be throwing some herbs in here. I'm gonna place it down right here in the shade. Some other supplies I have with me today. I have my trusty garden trug where I can throw some of the things I harvest into. You can see I have a little potato left in there. I missed that. I've been gathering potatoes here in July in Virginia. I've got my flower bucket with my snips because I'm hoping to grab some flowers before it gets too hot. I do this in the morning, most of my harvesting, especially this time of year. One, because that's when especially flowers are most hydrated, but also because it's bearable weather. It gets really hot in the afternoon here. My plan for the herbs today is I found an amazing recipe I want to try from Jessica Sowards from Roots and Refuge Farm for basil tea. And my kids and I love iced tea, and my husband too. And I'm gonna try throwing in some of this other stuff that I think will be delicious in it. We've got pineapple mint. Oh, it smells so good. Actually, this is pineapple sage. I'm sorry, not mint. I've got this orange mint, regular sweet mint, and lemon balm. So I'm gonna try putting all those in the iced tea recipe with some honey. And then here I've got some oregano. Oh, it smells so good. And it's starting to flower. Oh no, this is statice, not oregano. You can stay over there. Here's my actual oregano, but it is starting to flower. And I'm gonna pull some of that, some of the sage, beautiful sage, and some of this thyme. Here you are. To just bring in to dry, but also I'm going to be roasting some vegetables and potatoes, and also making a frittata. And so these herbs are going to be delicious in that. So that's step 1. You can see, just of note, my thyme is pretty old. I've had this plant for at least 4 years, and it's getting pretty woody, so I think I'm probably going to replace it. This is just regular French thyme. I love it. I think it's good in everything, but I kind of want to try some of the new varieties. There's so many out there that just sound delicious. Orange thyme, lemon thyme, variegated thyme. So we'll see what I end up getting. Also, just to point out, while we're talking about herbs, I am just drowning in dill. I did not plant a single dill seed this year. I let some plants go to seed last year, and I'm doing the same this year, and it is just reseeding itself everywhere. It even reseeded itself in my pathways, and this is some landscape fabric and a ton of wood chips. But you know, I'm not complaining because I am growing a lot of pickling cucumbers, and so I'll definitely be using some of this dill. And I also like to use the flowers in arrangements. You can see some flowers right here, and a gorgeous black fly to show it off for you. So yeah, you'll notice just random spots in my garden, like right here, are dill plants, and I'm just letting them go because, again, I have a lot of uses for it. But easy herb to grow. All right, so let's get harvesting. Okay, so I'm gonna start harvesting my herbs over here. I don't have a microphone. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm gonna grab my snips and grab some of these herbs and put them in the water, and then I'll bring those inside, and the water just helps them last a little bit longer and stay a little bit fresher. But you don't have to. You could just tie them up and let them dry in your kitchen or somewhere else in your house if you want to use them at a later time. I wish you guys could smell this. It smells amazing, and honestly, I think that's beautiful. I'm going to use all these today. It's a little crowded, but I'm not too worried about that because I'm going to be using them so soon. But I mean, I would cut this just to have on my kitchen shelf just so I could smell it once in a while. A few just quick notes about herbs and herb harvesting. So what you want to do is, let me grab my snips. This is similar to harvesting most things. What you want to do is go down to right above a leaf node. So a leaf node is just where the leaves come out. So hopefully you can see that. Let me give you a good example. So right here is where you would harvest, right above a leaf node. I'll just use my fingers to pinch that off. You really don't want to, you want to use snips so that you're giving a nice clean cut. You don't want to break stems that could damage your plants. But let me see if I can do this. I'm going to cut right above this leaf node here. Okay, there's the two leaves. Cut it, and then just stick that end in some water. And what it'll do is it'll branch out from the place that you cut it and make more and more stems. Now, what you don't traditionally want to do is, with any plant, its whole purpose in living is to try and reproduce. So it does that through making flowers, which after they're pollinated then make seeds. So for annuals, these herbs are actually perennial, but just to give you an example, for annuals like this beautiful straw flower I have here, it's going to try and make flowers, go to seed, and once that seed's created, its job is done. So that plant will start, you know, dying off, not focus a lot of energy on producing more flowers. So what you want to do ideally with both flowers and a lot of vegetables, fruits, and herbs is you want to cut off the flowers, or cut the what's going to turn into flowers before they turn into flowers and get pollinated. And what that tells the plant is, oh, you weren't successful on that first round. You got to keep pumping out those flowers. We got to make some seed so that we can reproduce. And with perennials, it's the same, although they don't necessarily try as hard, because if they don't make it one season, they can just focus on developing roots and then try again next year. So all of that is to say, what you want to do is you want to cut off any forming buds or blooms before they're pollinated, and that will help keep your plant growing. A couple other notes about these herbs is you can see here I mentioned that my oregano is actually flowering. So for culinary purposes, I just cut off these stems down here that are not flowering yet. A lot of times, not always, but a lot of times when plants start going to flower or seed, the leaves taste different. So normally I'd probably cut these off so that I would keep focusing on producing leaves, but because these are so beautiful, I'm probably gonna let them flower and use them in some cut arrangements, because I think flowering oregano is so gorgeous, and I love having like an aromatic element in bouquets. A lot of times herbs serves that purpose. Doesn't always have to be flowers that smell good. I love having some basil in one of my arrangements. And then you'll notice, I'll back up so you can see, I have these in containers because some of these herbs, especially in the mint family, will just take over if you plant them in the ground and can be really invasive. So I'm growing mine here in containers. All right, now that we've got our herbs, I'm gonna try and grab some strawberries. I thought I saw some here. So let me put this last herb that I gathered here in the jar. Okay, so this is my strawberry bed. Now, it worked out pretty well. I planted these strawberries around the edge of the bed so that harvesting would be a little bit easier, that they would sort of fall over the edge, and for the most part, they've done that. Let me see if I can find some good examples. So here's one right here. And actually, that one looks ripe, so I think I'm gonna pick that. They have been spreading. Strawberries love to spread. Oh, what is Bear doing back there? Who knows what she's gotten into? Hi, Bear. Hey, girl. Better not swim in that pond. So I think what I'd like to do is, I've seen a lot of gardeners use the green stalks for strawberries and have a lot of success. And I like that, you know, again, easy harvesting because it's just a tall tower, good use of vertical space. And I think it would be, they'd be less likely to spread. So here's a good example right here. That's my strawberry going into my onion bed, which I may or may not let it live. We'll see. So I'm thinking of doing maybe a green stalk, and I think that'd be great for strawberries. Let's harvest the rest of these, and then I can move on to some other things. So some notes about these. These are ever-bearing strawberries, which means they will keep producing small amounts of strawberries throughout the season. Whereas some June-bearing or, you know, summer-bearing strawberries, they will have just one big harvest. And then you may get a few here and there, but that one big harvest is probably all you're gonna get. So my goal with these was for fresh eating. My two of my kids love strawberries. And again, any way I can trick them into eating healthy or getting interested in the garden, I will take that chance. As yet unsuccessful, but I wanted them to have access to fresh strawberries kind of as long as possible. But if you're growing strawberries for preserving or freezing, maybe making some jams or some strawberry ice cream, the June bearing or the one-time bearing ones might be your best bet, and a lot of people can grow both kinds. I believe these are Seascape. It is their first year, so it'll be interesting to see how well they produce in their second year. This one, I think it's ready. I'll pull it. You can see some more Japanese beetle damage. We are really struggling with those. I think a lot of flower farmers in our region are dealing with Japanese beetles, but not gonna let it stop our gardening fun. And hopefully the more we can invite in other healthy insects and creatures, birds, snakes, whatever else will make this a healthy ecosystem. Hopefully that bad bug damage will get reduced. All right, so I think those are all the strawberries I found for today. Not a ton. I think this is typical this time of year. I'm harvesting about a small handful every day, but no complaints there. Okay, Now onto the basil. So I didn't put the basil in the jar because I'm going to be harvesting a ton of basil here. I'm going to use it for a lot of different purposes. So here's one patch of my basil. It's right underneath this ornamental corn. I'm growing rainbow gem corn to try and trick my kids into being interested in the garden again. You'll notice that theme here. But I also have another patch of basil way over there. You can't even see it, in another little container garden because I need to be using a lot of it. So same principle, you want to cut right above a leaf node. Let's see if I can give you a good example here. I'm not good at the one-handed gardening yet, but you can see right here this basil kind of branches 1, 2, 3. I'll cut out that center branch. That's usually where you see the flower. Not always, but usually. So I'm going to cut that and I'll throw it. Where is it? Oh, there we go. That's not the one I thought I cut. Throw it in there and let's harvest some basil. I just wanted to show you guys something real quick. So whenever I see this happening right here, I don't know how to describe that, but you can sort of see the shape. This is where I usually see flowers come up from, this center here. So I always try and take that off and use it. It's, well, I mean, it's as delicious as any other part of the plant, but I find that that helps it keep from flowering as long as possible and keep growing. And basil loves to be cut, so you know, keep on cutting it. As long as it's watered and has enough nutrition, it will keep growing. All right, so this is what I harvested off of these plants right here, and as you can see, there's still tons of basil left, but I'm gonna leave those leaves alone, let them keep growing so I can continue to harvest throughout the summer. But I mean, tons of basil from, I think I have 4 plants here, maybe 5. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants. Here I've got my bell pepper plants, and these ones are just starting to turn, I guess it's an orangish, so they were orange and yellow bell peppers. Most of them are still in the green phase. They're not doing amazing, but I think that's mostly my fault. I planted them out super early in the year, trying to push it a little bit, and they're doing okay, but not amazing. But I was gonna harvest a couple of these today. Now you can eat these when they are green if you want. They just taste like a green bell pepper. These are, I'm gonna try these guys. I'm making some vegetable frittatas, so I'll probably chop these up and throw them in as well. So we'll add that to our harvest. All right, and I'm gonna check real quick. These are my cucumber vines. I've got a lot of things growing in this area. I had some nasturtiums, the Alaskan salmon, they're pretty much gone. Again, some dill that's self-seeded. You can see the dill seeds forming right here. I might collect those, but I'll probably just let them float around and reseed themselves again next year. I also had some reseeded carrots that I didn't get a chance to harvest. So I'm also just letting those go to seed, and I love carrot blooms in flower arrangements too. They sort of turn into these white puff balls, similar to Queen Anne's lace. My experience is they last somewhat long. And then worst comes to worst, if they go to seed, we'll have some volunteer carrots and no complaints there. Oh, it looks like I got one cucumber that may be ready for harvesting. Let's see, I can probably let it get a little bit longer, but because I'm seeing this on it, I'll probably just pull it. I am getting about 1 to 2 cucumbers a day, and I've got a couple varieties. I've got these longer kind for fresh eating. Let me throw that in here. I've got this shorter cucumber that Baker Creek sent out for free called Bait Alpha, and it has been delicious. It's just a small snacking cucumber, and I just eat them as soon as they're ready. They are kind of sweet and crunchy, which is so good if you've never had a cucumber like that fresh out of the garden. And then these little guys here, this is my first time trying these. I'm so excited. My beautiful sister in New York City got me these. These are called pickle bush, and they're really slow growing bush cucumbers that, as the name suggests, are gonna be good for pickling. So I am really excited to try those. They are just now blooming, so I don't have any of those yet. And let me do a quick check over here. You can see the little baby cucumbers starting to form. Got one right here. I don't see any more that are ready for harvest. That guy's on its way, but not yet ready yet. Another one that's on its way, but not ready yet. I stuck another cucumber in my tomato forest, and welcome to my tomato forest. This is an interesting experiment I'll talk about. Bear, what you doing, Bear? What you doing, girl? You being good? Probably not. I have 4 different varieties of tomatoes in this tomato forest, and I'll probably go through this in another video. I've already harvested a bunch of these gorgeous black Krim tomatoes. This one I'm gonna give another couple days. I've got some Romas, I've got Pink Tiger, and I've got Barry's Crazy Cherry. I'll probably harvest these. I actually like to harvest tomatoes at the hottest part of the day. It's sort of miserable, but they taste the sweetest. Their sugars kind of get concentrated. And man, there's something about a warm tomato. Oh, it's just so good. So I'll probably come out here later and harvest these, but I've got enough of these big guys, and probably I'll throw in a few of the Barry's Crazy Cherry to make a roasted salsa, another of Jessica Soward's recipes that I'm really excited to try. I'm just gonna zoom in there. I think you can see my Barry's Crazy Cherry. All right, and then I'm just gonna do a quick last check of my yellow squash. This yellow squash was really an afterthought. I threw these seeds in here because I had some space. Yellow squash is super quick to grow, and I think it's like 60 days. Oh, you can see a bee in there. All right, let me get this squash without. Don't mind me, bees. Keep pollinating. Give me more squash. We in this region tend to really struggle with squash bugs. A lot of people won't even grow summer squash like this because it's usually overtaken pretty quickly with squash bugs. Interestingly, these got so big, they were knocked over by wind, which I have never experienced before. But because they were sort of just a freebie, you know, if I get some squash, great. If not, wouldn't really be too sad about it. I also kind of grew these hoping that they would be a trap crop for the cucumber beetles. I'm sorry, for the squash bugs, to stay away from some of the other squash I'm trying to grow. Hey girl, what you been doing, girl? Hey, you wanna go inside? You wanna go inside? I'll let her in a second. As I was saying, I was hoping this would be a trap crop for squash bugs because I am trying to grow some ornamental. I have baby pumpkins right here. I've got butternut squash that I am so excited to try here. And I've got another pumpkin, I think it's over here, but I don't know that it's doing too well. Let's see. I've got another pumpkin I planted here. Oh yeah. Okay, here it is. This is a Casper pumpkin. So I was hoping that, you know, worst comes to worst, the squash will attract the squash bugs and they'll stay away from the stuff I really care about. But I've been getting some good yellow squash, and I will be throwing that in my mini frittatas. Also, I have some beets here that I pulled yesterday and I forgot to bring them in. These are red and golden beets. They do really well here. I love roasted beets, especially with some pesto. And then my husband and I really like to make pickled beets and have them with some crackers and cheese. This is my little beet patch right here. And since I might be roasting some vegetables this weekend, I figured I'd grab some of these and throw them in as well. These are super easy to roast. You just wrap them in some tin foil. Individually, I'll take off the beet greens, and you can eat those too. I eat them sometimes in salads or throw them in soups, and just wrap them up in some tin foil, throw them on a cookie sheet or any other kind of pan. 425 for 45 minutes probably for this size, but you can do 50 to be safe, especially if you've got bigger beets. And then let them cool, and they're pretty easy to peel. I usually peel them with my hands. And the golden beets are so sweet. So I'm gonna put these here. I'm gonna rinse them off before I put them in my harvest basket. I'm gonna check the onions real quick. My onions, I've got them in 2 places. I've got them here And I've got them down here, and I'll give you guys a tour of the vegetable garden soon, although you're getting some of it today. Onions are ready to harvest once they fall over of their own accord. So you can kind of see this one here. I don't know if you can see that very well. The lighting isn't great, but let's see. This one here, see how the stalk is sort of bending over? That means that it's almost ready for harvest, whereas you can see like this one here is still straight up and down. I pulled one so far that was sort of bent over like this. I'm going to use that in my salsa today. These are just white, I think they're called Parma onions from Baker Creek, smallish. So I'm gonna see how that one does, and then I'm expecting that most of these will be ready for harvest here soon. And then I can flip this bed for something else. So last on the list in terms of food harvesting for today is the rest of my basil, which I have right here. You can see I stuck a lot of these little marigolds around the garden, hoping to repel bad pests. But also just kind of looks pretty, so I'm not going to complain there. So let me harvest the rest of this basil, and then we will move on to flowers. All right, so there's the food harvest for this morning, minus tomatoes. Not bad considering I've been doing this about every day. And gonna make for some nice cooking in the cool air conditioning when it gets really hot out today. So what I like to do is just rinse off everything before I bring it in, just to help. I still clean it again when I go inside, but a quick rinse just helps keep everything a little less dirty. And let me rinse off these beets right here. And if the beet greens aren't looking that great and I'm not going to use them, like these aren't looking too fantastic, I'll probably just take them off before I bring them in the house, just so there's less cleanup inside. All right, now let's move on to the flowers. I just wanted to show you guys something real quick.